Welcome everybody to another episode of the Firefighters Chalkboard. This is Uncle Wayne, your host, and tonight I have Louis Oliwa. He is a firefighter with the Horry County Fire Rescue. He's got an extensive background back from where he come from back home, and we're just going to chill out and have some good shot conversation tonight. Louis, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody. Let them kind of know your background and everything else.
All right, my name is Louis Oliwa. I am, born and raised in Connecticut. I started my volunteer fire service career with the City of Erie Fire Department. I just did about 12 years before I left to come down to Horry County. And then I was also a dual role member of a town, like right next door, with the City of Ansonia Fire Department. I was there for about 6 years before I moved down here. Both roles, in both departments. Derby, I served as a captain before I came down, and in Ansonia, I served as lieutenant before I came down. Not a whole lot of experience, but it definitely changed my outlook on the volunteer fire service, having that little bit of time of um, being in an officer role. And I came down to test for the city of Myrtle Beach in 2023 and applied for the county, and down here taking more classes, trying to learn, progress myself, and advance my career.
Good deal. So you're a little bit different than most people like in our department it comes from. So how does it feel to be in a rank role in the department where you come from, where you're one that's coming up with the training, help put the weekly drills on, stuff like that for your people, and then turn around and come back into a role in a recruit school?
It it definitely takes a little bit to say, okay, now like you're in a career recruit academy. It's time to step back and learn the ways of the way that now your career department does. They may have some better or different ways to instruct or tips and tricks on certain skills. But it was kind of also nice to take some of the experience that I have had from up north and kind of assist in helping people, my own fellow recruits, with certain skills. If they pull aside, hey, I want to practice hydrants today or something like that. Like I wouldn't be trying to take away from the instructors, but at least like if they're a little more comfortable coming to a fellow recruit, I can maybe try and help them with that, and maybe try and give a little bit more guidance and kind of like, hey, good job. To a lot of the recruits that really didn't come with experience, um, I know it kind of definitely helps them knowing that they have somebody amongst them that has had just a little bit of experience to kind of give them the, hey, maybe we should be doing this, maybe we should be doing that. But coming from a ranked role and coming down here to just being a recruit in the academy, it is kind of a breath of fresh air. It's kind of like, hey, I can sit back and relax. Um, but it definitely was a change. It definitely was.
Okay. Um, I know, like you said, one thing you said was about taking away from the instructors or anything else. And as my position in an instructor role, we don't see it that way at all. Um, One of the biggest things we do is we like to see people that have some experience when it comes in. That way, there's two different ways to look at it. One way could be is, okay, how many bad habits do they have? We got to try to fix, because everybody's got quirks. Um, but a lot of times it's not the bad habits. I mean, a lot of times, you know, whenever we get people into class and they've got some experience, they're a lot bigger help than what people realize they are. Just like what you said, um, being able to have that peer support, extra peers in the class being able to help do drills, spend some more time because like you've you've been through one of our classes, what the student to instructor ratio is, how busy we are, and the time crunches we have to have that extra set of hands for somebody to go to the side when somebody's struggling and kind of help and give that one-on-one stuff, or if they just need extra help doing bunker drills, something like that. Somebody other, is not saying that the instructors don't want to spend any time with them because we'll spend every waking minute we have, but if I can put my efforts to six or seven people at one time, and you were able to go do one person to kind of give them that extra time with bunker drills or something like that, it's a big benefit. Um,
Absolutely.
and kind of, when I had Andrew Schultz on here, we were kind of talking around the same thing. It's being able to use the tools that are in the toolbox. and using it for a benefit of how it benefits the class, how it benefits the department, because our overall end goal is to make sure everybody's successful and capable of doing the job that's at hand.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to try to get off of my script like I normally do. I normally got the same questions I ask everybody, and I do that for the reasons of I want to see what different people's thought processes are.
Gotcha.
Because you can ask the same question to 100 people, and a lot of times you're gonna get a big difference in answers.
Right.
But um, I'm gonna try to wing it out on a limb. We'll go in a little more of a conversation role, but I've still got some questions because I still want to get in the minds of my students. I still want the instructors that are listening to this podcast to be able to get in the minds of the students, because if we can't find out what they're hungry for, we don't know how to adapt and how to change our delivery or what we're teaching or anything else. Because, you know, in the same aspect, I really want students to be able to know what the instructors are looking for, what the instructors are expecting out of them. I mean, it's hard to be able to find out what standards you want to be held to if the standards are never known.
Right.
And a lot of times, we say in the beginning of class, this is what your expectations for class are. But then a lot of times that turns into, like if it's a Fire 1 class, another 140 some hours of garble that's going across through lectures and everything else. So it's kind of, we want to have that constant reminder. Um, so you're starting to taking more classes now. You've been out of school for a little while. You're taking some more classes. Um, what are you looking for when you walk in the door? What kind of instructor are you wanting?
Uh, the biggest for me between all the classes and the way that I feel like a lot of us, especially with the younger generation, along with myself, is that a well-prepared instructor definitely goes a long way with not only grasping the attention of the class, but increasing that attention span. If I have an instructor that just reads from the book and on the PowerPoints, I mean, I can just do that at home, right? So I'm not really going to have the attention span as I would, and they're not really going to pull me into the class and keep me interested. But if I have an instructor that comes in and it has obviously gone over the material before for that class, and if they maybe put in videos or pictures or maybe their own personal GoPro or Firecam footage from something, so they can give a little bit more of an insight of like what we're talking about, and especially help somebody who maybe not have that experience in that lesson that's being taught. But definitely a well prepared instructor, I believe, is much better for the classroom setting, especially for the students.
Sure, sure. And in the same aspect, us as instructors, we're looking for well prepared students.
Absolutely.
We want people that's ready to come in and learn. I mean, it's not just I'm gonna sit in and listen to a class. I mean, you gotta kind of you gotta take the bull by the horns a lot of times.
Right. Right.
The I think delivery's needing to change. I've been doing a lot of work on that, a lot of study and a lot of research, working on some paper stuff and trying to take the things we've learned, and they're not huge. They're not. It's nothing. This, I guess you would say, mind busting stuff. Is just we noticed some things, we tweaked some things, and now we're seeing the change of that little bit of shift in delivery, and numbers are getting better. I noticed that, like your class had really good test numbers. We started changing some of the delivery and things. The So how long do you think's a good time in class doing lecture? Say we're sitting there talking dead ahead. Is there a difference in between the dreaded death by PowerPoint versus just sitting there and having like a front bumper talk?
I think that there are times for certain conversations. Being in the classroom for obviously a long enough time is you're going to lose the attention span. We all know that we can only take so much information in at once, and honestly, I personally think it all depends on the lesson for that day. If it's something that's going to be, quick and to it, and especially if it has skills on it, get in there, get the instruction, the proper information out, and then let's go out there and have more time for skills. And we do understand as students that yes, you as instructors do have certain hours that you have to do for certain classes. Like it's already laid out for you. Um, but quick stuff like that, I mean, get in, get out, do the skills, get stuff done. Because a lot of people I know, especially for myself, the way I am, I'm more of a hands-on guy. And I know a lot of people that are trying to be firemen, that are coming to the fire service. A lot of them mostly have all the same mentality, hands-on people. So especially stuff with skills, trying to get the skills done, and that might spark a little bit more of an energy about that class. Um, the front bumper, tailboard talk, kitchen table talk, however anyone wants to describe it, yes, there are that is the bread and butter of like learning about the fire service, because you can hear a lot of great conversations and stories come from some seasoned members, especially your seasoned backstep guys, even if officer or not officer. There
Absolutely.
are great times and great places to have those conversations. I know there are a couple of instructors I have had, without a doubt, still have the utmost respect for them, but we can go on and on about a drowned out story in class and not really get the material over, and you're stuck in class and like, okay, can we get out and do this now? And we're sitting there talking about all this stuff for so long and not even getting the material to get outside. But absolutely, I mean, you have to have those conversations that might spark like, hey, I know when I hear conversations, the biggest thing that I think of is I came up in like the wrong place in the fire service, the wrong year. If I came up in like the 80s or the 90s, that would have been fantastic. So whenever I hear those conversations, I go back to thinking, man, that would have been cool to be brought up back in those days of the fire service.
Oh man,
Everything
that was
changes,
the day
but
of rotary slides and overhead projectors. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
lived that time. It weren't that much fun. I mean, now, but with that being said, how much of a difference do you feel technology is rolling with it? Because we've got a lot of new stuff. I know, like our fire academy right now is running through a fire class, and they're running all ebooks. So they're starting to embrace technology and use technology with it, trying to get away from the hard books. You're still going to have your lectures. You're still going to have your PowerPoints. I mean, you're not going to get away from them. But I think a lot of times that's got to do with how the instructors are using the PowerPoints. Are they using them as a way to present all the material, or are they using it as you know, a little memory clip? Hey, I'm looking at this real quick. I hit on it real fast, and now I'm bringing everything up from my experiences, things like that. Trying to make it a energetic type lecture, and
Right.
it's it's hard to make some things interesting. I mean, kind of
Absolutely.
like I was doing a class the other night for I-300, and it's really really hard to make I-300 interesting. Um, I don't think there's a possible way to do it, but
No,
nobody fell asleep,
I've
so I
done that
call that
already.
omitted.
Yeah.
But think about the aspect of the younger people with technology, because whenever I was coming up in the fire service, there was no cell phones in class, and nothing like that, and then a lot of times we try to keep the cell phones out of class and things because
Right.
it has a tendency to be a distraction. But looking at it through the aspect, it can be a benefit too. Yeah, as long as they're used in the right way. We could use that technology, iPads, things like that in class, for that way they've got their one-on-one. Some people are a lot faster picking up than others are. They might go ahead and click a slide or two ahead, so whenever I finally get to that, they're ready for it, ready to engage in conversation. And the more you get students back and forth talking, the better the class goes, the more information shared, and the more the class will open up.
Right.
Right? You notice you get more people talking. Everybody wants to kind of talk because they want to interact with the instructor.
Right.
It's but I think technology is a really good thing. I think it's going to have good ways to benefit, but the hardest thing is as instructors is trying to make sure and keep up with the discipline of you are where you're supposed to be on that device. And
Absolutely.
you got one guy in there doing a lecture with 30 people in the classroom. It's kind of hard to be steady walking and making sure we don't have some TikTok and YouTubes going on while you're in the middle of the
Yeah.
lecture.
Right.
But the I think technology, like I said, I think it's better. I think it's getting better. I think the avenues for people to be able to learn using technology is is getting good. I think us as instructors need to try to embrace technology a little better. I've kind of went out on a limb. I've started doing a different channel on Spotify, and I've actually started trying to make a study material for the essentials. Um, just kind of in the afternoon, I take a little bit of time each day and I record a little bit more. And I'm actually doing the lectures for all the chapters prior one and putting it on Spotify. So that way,
Awesome.
our students, if they need that extra little bump of lecture, that extra little study material,
Right.
trying to keep it in like a 30, 45 minute length at the longest amount of time. Because if they're on the way to work or they're on the way home, listen to me all day long, but if they something didn't quite click, they could hit that thing on Spotify, listen to that chapter on the way home or on the way back to work the next morning while they're driving, and it refreshes them up. Or if they know the next day is going to be this next chapter, and on the way to work they're listening to it beforehand, and it's
Right.
already got their gears turning ready for that day. And it can be a really good study tool as well. And it's trying to, just using technology to make that happen.
Right.
Um, so I was talking about the concept in my a paper I done about doing, breaking up lecture and hands-on, which is really hard to do a lot of times, especially whenever we're teaching. We work on a lecture and we try to find a good breaking point to yell field trip, let's get outside, put our hands on something. Kind of breaks up the monotony of just sitting in there all day long.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
it's hard to try to find that happy medium to where you can keep the students engaged, put their hands on what we're talking about, and then give them that 20, 30 minute break outside, freshen them up, get their hands on something with a little quick drill, and then get back in the classroom. But it's something to try to kind of run like a type of hybrid deal.
Gotcha.
Um, it works really good when you're doing pumps theory. I haven't found a good way to make it work in some of the Fire One curriculums yet, but I do it a lot in pumps theory because you know pumps theory is not interesting for most people. Is um, almost want to hand out toothpicks whenever you hand out a textbook. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
But if I can get you outside and get your hands on that pump
Right.
right after we're talking about parts of it,
Yeah.
it's a win. Especially if I can take the lesson plan out there with me to give me something halfway to kind of look on. I can keep running a little bit of that lecture while we're outside looking at the rest of that pump, and it's hands on
Absolutely.
the equipment as we're doing it. And it's kind of like when I was talking about that, the front bumper talk or
Right.
doing it in the bay. It's trying to make that whole thing work. And if I can find a way to make these hold like a PowerPoint on one side where I can kind of
Yeah.
halfway keep some notes about what's going on, um, it would be great because we wouldn't sit in the classroom. I get out of there, um, except right now because the pollen's so bad. Um,
Oh, terrible.
uh, but you said you're looking for an instructor that's well prepared,
Yeah.
and I said the same thing about a student. But how much of a difference does it play when your instructor is, he's energetic. When you come in, you see that guy lights up when he's talking about a certain topic. Because I'll tell you, there's some topics I absolutely love teaching, and there's some I do a good job at. I
Absolutely.
get the message across, but there's some of them when I get started, it's like y'all can pass the plate because we're gonna be here for a while. I mean,
Right. Yeah, I
and you,
think energy definitely is a thing because you get someone coming in and they're all tired, drowsy, or whatnot. Just doesn't seem like they really want to be there. And like we have already said before, yeah, I mean like the same energy should go for the students as well, the recruits. But it kind of starts with that training instructor. It all comes down from them, and that's kind of what I've seen at least through our academy is that's kind of how our mentality went for that day too. If you had an instructor who's like, "Oh, I got to teach this class again," or "Hey, like, let's go. Like, we're gonna have a great day. We're gonna learn this. We're gonna do these skills. We're gonna get out there. We're gonna do it." And every other recruit's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this guy's like, he wants to be here. We're gonna get stuff done. This is gonna be interesting."
yeah,
It really brings the vibe up for that day.
yeah. I mean, if everybody can have a couple of monsters, we'll be okay. Um, but you know, looking at the same thing about being that energetic and everything else. That's laying the groundwork of how you should be and how you should feel about the fire service, how you should be about learning. Because when we're teaching, you're just getting started. I mean, now like you had time before you come here, but a lot of guys we get are brand new. They're straight off the boat. I mean, they've never done this stuff before,
Right.
and we've got to show them why are we so excited about what we're talking about. Why does this stuff drive us so hard to go like we go? And we're setting the tone for their career, trying to show them how much energy it takes, how much passion it takes, and everything. So they're not just walking outside and saying, okay, well, he was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
now we're gonna get to the firehouse and sit down. No, you don't sit down. That's when you really start getting to work.
Right.
I mean, because what we're doing is just laying that foundation for you to get out and learn more.
Absolutely.
So before, when you were at your old department in Connecticut, you set up your drills, you helped do company training, stuff like that. You were in a mentor role.
Yeah.
You know, you were rocking some bugles on your collar. So you had a lot of junior members coming in the department that you had to mentor, which sets you up to be a really great senior recruit in class to be able to help keep that mentoring going on. But look at what's happened since you've already graduated, and this is where I'm gonna put a spin on it and try to get some people to where they understand what I'm trying to get to. But how long has it been since you graduated?
May. So I mean, just a couple months under a year.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you already got another class behind you.
Coming up in 2 weeks. Instructor to be that. Yeah.
No, I mean I'm talking about another group of newbies that come out
Oh.
already.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was already. This would be the second one after I graduated.
Yeah, I mean, so how in that foundation that was laid for you when you were in recruit school and the mentorship that the instructors gave you and things like that, it sets you up to be in that role because, the senior firemen and the officers and stuff in the house are going to be some of the main ones that's doing the mentorship and working. But you still,
Absolutely.
I'm sure you still find yourself a lot of times with that newer person because new gravitates to new a lot of times. You kind of
Right.
show them what you've learned in the ropes through the firehouse and things like that.
Absolutely.
Um, so tell us about the class you got coming up. You said you got a class on the way.
Yeah, I just finished the Echo series. Just finished wrapping that up with the Miko, and then I start instructor on the 8th, and I'm actually that's something I've been looking forward to since I've signed up for it. It gives you the chance and the opportunity to really understand your side now. I came in, I got the recruit class, I got to sit there and learn from probably one of the best group of instructors that we have in the area. I'd put them up against the state of South Carolina, but now we got to come up and now it's my time. I feel like I can understand the other side of things now, and now it could help me whether it's out in the firehouse when I get a recruit when we come in we have a recruit come on our shift, or maybe one day maybe I'll try and come up there and get a seat next to you. Or if you want to come back out to the street, maybe one day, I'm feeling eager enough to get back up in that seat. But I'm very excited to get on the other side of things and kind of understand what you got to go through with all these classes.
I really like to hear that. I like to hear the fact that you're saying that you're excited about wanting to go learn how to do delivery. You understand that no matter what, it's still a lifelong learning. Um, and nowhere in the book does it ever say that you have to be in the service for 10 years on the paid side before you can be a paid instructor.
You're
Um,
right.
because no matter what, every day we're instructing somebody about something. And the instructor class just gives you really good fundamentals to understand. One, why do people learn like they will learn? How many different ways do people learn? How many different ways can you present the material? Because the overall goal is what? Is for them to be successful. And
Absolutely.
we've got to do whatever we can to make sure that happens. Especially with the people that's already made it through recruit school. They've cut their teeth into fire service. They're working every day, and a lot
Right.
of times we have different challenges we have to come to as instructors. And I applaud you for wanting to come learn how to do it.
Thank you.
Because Look at how much more of a benefit you can be to your boss in the house once you start to get that training. Not saying
Yeah,
you're going to take over everything and you're going to be the one doing it, but it gives you a great understanding of how to help, how to assist, and make it better for your company.
absolutely.
So after we get instructor, what's your plans next?
Officer one.
Officer
I
one.
mean, I know I came down from an officer role, and I maybe not be looking for that right now, but the best that I can do is just continuing to learn, just get the classes done. So this way,
Yeah.
like, when it comes time, I have the stuff done. But heck, even like if I got everything done now, and to help out my own firehouse, try the ACO thing, learn another role. I don't have to promote right away. I like riding backwards. I like, driving the fire truck every once in a while, but it not only is going to help my firehouse and the guys that I'm with out there, but it's also going to get me to continue to learn different roles and kind of map out what I want to do for my future, for my career. Which route do I want to go? Do I end up liking the instructor side more than maybe trying to chase an officer signing up the ranks on the officer side? Do I want to maybe stay here for quite a while and get more classes and see what happens? See, maybe I want to pick a specialty or something, but I think one of the biggest things was learning, like, the best way to be a good fireman is to also learn what your boss is doing too.
There
Is to
you go.
also
That's what I was
understand
waiting to hear.
what he has to do. We just went over paperwork and stuff yesterday. It's like the monotonous part of doing the job, but it's still important to do. And it's always good to understand what your officer has to do, in order to be a good fireman, especially if, like we were just saying, I already have 2 recruit classes that are going to be underneath me. Eventually, in 2 years, there may be 4 or 5 or maybe 6. The way that we're hiring, I may be one day a senior guy in a firehouse faster than maybe some major metropolitan city. You know, but the more classes, the more roles that I can learn. Not only maps out my future, but I also understand the other roles too.
I really like how you said to get in the mind of my boss, because a lot of people don't understand. Yes, in our department, in a lot of departments across the country, you've got to have instructor one as a prereq to promote. You've got to have officer one, as a prereq to promote. Those 2 classes you're talking about have so many benefits to you working in the street that so far surpass the availability for you to take a test to ride the front seat of that rig. Like we were talking about with an instructor, if you really get in and learn about teaching, like we were talking about earlier, just in recruit school, that peer review, that peer coaching, stuff like that, you can take a lot of that instructor stuff and help the people inside your firehouse or the
Right.
firehouse next door.
Absolutely.
The officer one and the ICO series you went through, there is no better way for you to do your job than to get training, get knowledge, and get experience to where you can be in the head of your boss. So that way, before your boss tells you, I need this, you're already working on it because you've learned what he's thinking about. You're in his head where you two are working like that well-oiled machine. And
Absolutely.
that's the best kind of engineer to have, is one that all he's looking is for is telling the boss to point which way he wants it to go because he's already ripping it off the rig. I mean, because you're in his mind, you're in his thought process. You're really trying to understand what he wants and why does he want what he wants. That article I talked about, um, that I wrote, is the why before the how. I'm big into the why. If you
Yeah.
tell me the why, you know, why do you want this done this way? Well, this is because of, okay. Well, guess what? Next time I'm gonna have it there because you've already explained to me the why. You
Right.
told me why you want it this way. You're my boss. I'm going to do it that way.
Right.
And a lot of people just, they get so much in the mindset of this is what we've got to have to promote, and they're not looking at the true benefits from those classes. Those classes are so much more.
Yeah. I mean, just because you're taking them doesn't mean that, you have to use them right away and you have to promote right away. You can use
But
them
you are
just
using
for
them right
straight
away.
the learning concept, right?
Yeah.
Just to learn. That's all.
Just remember though, Lewis, you are using them right away. You're just not using them to promote. You're going to use them to be a better fireman, a better driver operator, and provide a better service to
Absolutely.
the citizens. So that's it's
I agree.
it's that continuation of learning. And
Absolutely.
everybody says it all the time. The day we quit learning is the day we need to give it up. But
100%.
right now, I have no ambitions to ever be a chief officer in my life. That's not me.
Everyone likes different
It
things.
it might happen one day. I don't know, but right now I'm holding steady at what I got. I really love doing what I do, but I'm still educating myself in case those future goals ever change. And I
Absolutely.
got myself ready so I can do the job that'll be expected of me. And that's no different than as a newer firefighter. Learn what your boss is thinking. The you were in my classes a lot, and I use movies a lot of time, bouncing back and forth to give ideas about a thought. And I use this one a lot. Movie We Were Soldiers. Mel Gibson looked at the guy after he knocks him off the helicopter and says, you know, "You're dead. Your officer's dead. What do you do?" The guy didn't say anything. He grabbed him and snatched him off the helicopter. He said, "You hesitated. He's dead. Now what do you do?" And the guy's like, "Let's get off the chopper." He said, and afterwards he told everybody, he's like, "Look, it's important for you to teach your job to the guy below you, and it's even more important for you to learn the job of the man above you." And there's two folds. One fold is sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes people get hurt. We got to be able to continue to go. That mission has still got to happen. Second thing of it is what better way to give an opportunity to mentor. I mean, if we're always looking that next step ahead, and that gives us a chance to reach for that person to mentor us,
Right.
show them that we want to learn their job, not to take their job, but to be able to assist them to do it better. I
Right.
mean, I've got a great boss, and I try to get in his head as much as possible. And it ain't to sit in his seat; it's to make our department work better. And
Absolutely.
I think that's what a lot of us, as a whole in the fire service, need to do. We really need to look at the mission and what is the overall mission: provide the best customer service possible.
Most definitely.
So we talked earlier about what you're looking for in an instructor. Now, as a student that's been there a little bit, what do you think about classes? If you are signing up to take classes, you got, catalog list from the department or whatever. And does it ever make you worry about who might be teaching that class? Or are you looking for a couple of special instructors to teach before you really lock in for that class? Or, because I mean, I know I've spoke to people in the past and they're like, if they try to find out who's teaching it before they really lock in, or if they find out a certain person is teaching, they pull out of the class. And that's more so for the instructors that are listening. Because if we have students that are backing out of classes because of they're hearing certain instructors are teaching it, what do we need to change as instructors to make students understand that they're going to get that good class, and there's no question about the instructors helping them be successful.
Yeah, I mean, all the classes that I have signed up for, I just signed up for them because whether you know the instructor or not, or you've had a personal problem with out in the street, you might still be able to learn from them. You might still be able to learn something different, even just to hear them out. And you're still going to get the same material over. You're still going to be learning it. You just may have a personal problem with that instructor. And I personally really think that you shouldn't have to let that get in the way of you continuing to learn, because that class may come up every once in a while. It may not be a current, common occurrence of a class, and really got to think about your education, where it's going to take you. If you need it, if you need that class for a promotion, you might just do it. And if you just go without having a personal vendetta against somebody. You may learn something from them, whether you like them or not. I really, I mean, I don't look for who's teaching a class. I look for which class I want, which class that I feel like I need to have right now, and I just sign up for it. And when I show up, and whoever's the instructor, give them the benefit of the doubt. Let them speak. They may have a better way of instructing than some of your favorite instructors. You know, you may learn something new about them. You may have never ever held a conversation with them, and you just heard from other people that, hey, you know, this guy doesn't teach that well. You know, you're not gonna. But you may be different. You may learn different than anybody else. But personally, I don't really look for the instructor. I look for the class, and then go from there.
Okay. I'm waiting for rate my professor for the fire service to pop up. I know in the college world, I'll be the first one to admit I get a professor for a new class and I'm popping up trying to find out what's going on with them. But you're absolutely right, and not only that, but just because somebody is one way in the street, I've noticed a lot of times when they get in the classroom, they're a completely different person, and because a
They
lot
may
of
have a different drive for teaching than
yeah, well,
being
I mean, a lot of the stresses are gone away.
right.
You know, a lot of the stressors they're dealing with when they're in the street, the house problems, the rig problems, everything else that's going on. And whenever they get in training ground, they're in their happy place. Sometimes it's a way for them to do, you know, not saying a happy place, but gives them somewhere to they can spread their message, share the love they have for the job without any of the other outside stressors that have to do with daily, firehouse drama life and everything else. And I mean, it can be a good thing. And I've just I've heard some students in the past talking about, well, I've got this. I found out this guy's teaching, and I don't want to be there. Well, why? Like
Yeah,
you're talking about why?
yeah,
Kind of like you said, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'll go out on a limb and say this, and there's a little green sheet. I don't know how it is in other places across the country, but with us, after the end of a class, we have a course evaluation. You write the name of your instructor, and you give him a grade.
right,
And I think one of the biggest problems we have is people are not grading their instructors accordingly.
right.
I'll be the first one to tell you. I look at them the time we finish class because I want to know how I done. I want to know what my students are thinking of me as an instructor. Did
Absolutely.
I, if everybody passed, yeah, mission completed. But is it really complete?
Right.
It's completed when my students are well satisfied with what I delivered. They weren't hungry for any more. If they are hungry, I was still trying to give them something else. Um, but I don't want them to think anything was lacking. They got what they needed. I done my job. They know I'm still a resource they can always come to. I want that honest feedback. And if I didn't do something well, what could I have done better?
Absolutely.
As instructors, we don't know how to fix things if we don't know they're broken.
Right.
Because a lot of times we're thinking we're doing an okay job. We might suck. I mean, at a certain topic, but we don't know if the students don't tell us. And I think it's a bad thing. But at the end of the course, everybody's tired. They're done. They're finishing up that paperwork. They're ready to get finished
Yeah.
with it. And so it's all five, so I can get out of here. And,
Yeah.
I mean, there's very few times do you get somebody that'll put good job or like this instructor ready to take another class, something like that. But you never see anything about what needs to be fixed. And I don't care who you are, every class that's taught, somebody can give you some good points to do something to make that delivery a little bit better.
Absolutely.
But it's almost like people are scared to put down the truth. You already took the test. I can't
Yeah.
mess
Right.
with your grade. I'm not gonna mess with your grade anyway. But
Yeah.
and it's not holding a grudge. I mean, if we're out there doing skills and you suck at a skill, we're gonna have that conversation. I mean, I'm not gonna be rude about it. We're gonna have that conversation that you need to step it up. You need to work on your stuff. You need to get better. I expect the same as an instructor. If I'm struggling with something, or not if I'm struggling, if I could deliver it better so the students could understand it better, let me know.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that we need to let our students understand, that it's not a bash session. It's not you're mad at me because we had to do some recalibration stuff one day. But I mean, it's truly on delivery. How good did we teach? If we
Right.
done a good job, tell us we done a good job. If we didn't do a good job, just be honest and write it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think a lot of being honest on those forms would take care of a lot of the problems with the instructors out there that really do need a reset. Because like our fire academy, if you fill out that paper and put your name and phone number there, somebody from the academy is going to call on you. They're going to say, what was good, what was bad. Please give us some honest feedback.
Right.
Well, if nobody ever says something's wrong or this guy didn't do a good job, the state's not going to ever say, "Hey, you need to fix this,"
Right.
and you will keep even keep that constant level of teaching along. Where if they got some feedback, you might be able to have a coachable moment to stay, or the hires to be to have a coachable moment with that guy. Let him fix some stuff so he does deliver what the students need.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think a lot of our students don't understand their responsibility to assist us with giving that good product.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like it's not going to harm any students, and I really don't think a lot of students really, like you don't have to put your name on it. The little prince is optional next to it, and it's not really. It's not only is it going to help you, but it's absolutely there for the instructors. I bet I'm not an instructor, so I can't say, but I bet having somebody say, "Hey, good job," I can totally learn a lot from this instructor. He had awesome instructability skills. He was a great person. And then if you maybe are a newer instructor, especially like me coming along doing an instructor class, and I start wanting to teach classes, I would rather somebody say, "Hey, you were kind of like monotone, and you dragged everything out, and maybe anything, anything." I mean, I feel like that can only help me grow and like get better at what I want at being an instructor. So
Sure.
if there is a problem, students and or recruits or whoever, they shouldn't be worried about, man, I got to fill the sheet out now. That's only going to help the instructor, especially maybe if you guys all talked, because obviously recruits and everyone talks together in their groups, and hey, what do you think about this guy? Obviously, if you have a problem, that's the place that's going to make them better. Instead of just talking about them behind their back and not being able to say it to them, there's an anonymous sheet for you at the end of every class for you to tell them how you feel. You don't have to put your name on it. You know, I mean, I don't know why people are afraid of being honest on those sheets. It costs nothing to do. Like I don't know.
I don't know if they're afraid of being honest or because there's no retaliation for any of it. I
Right.
mean, the state's looking for feedback. We're looking for feedback,
Absolutely.
and um, but the thing about being anonymous is, look at it. If you get a piece of paper with a really just trashed out evaluation on this guy, and it all gets sent to the upper academy, and there's no name, no phone number. If that person really had a problem with what that instructor was doing, they would
They,
they would
they
take the
would.
time
Yeah.
to put their name and phone number down to let somebody talk to them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
a lot of times, sometimes the upper powers to be look at that as well. They're just trying to bash them because they don't have legitimate
Personal
rights
problem.
because they're
Yeah.
not they're not wanting to they're not actually wanting to speak with somebody. And a lot of everyone I do, good or bad, I've got my name and phone number on there. Call me. I'll tell you about how good this guy was. What things he done really really well. Because I'm a firm believer in attaboys need to be given a lot more than you need to work on this. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times as instructors, you don't get that attaboy very much.
Right. That extra drive goes a long way for that person. It may
Absolutely.
spark up a new energy. You know.
Well, it's no different than looking in the mindset of a student.
Right.
And this is a topic we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. A lot of people will say that instructors have favorites. They'll have these students that are their favorite students. I'll be the first one to say that is so far from the truth. I wouldn't say that we have individuals that are favorites. We have a mindset that is a favorite. Um, Me personally, if I see somebody that is just getting it, going after it, they're hungry for it, they're always paying attention in class. When we get out and start doing practical skills, they're the first ones in line. They're trying to get the drills done. They're wanting to get extra reps in. Yep, that's my favorite. Not that person, that mindset, that mentality, that
Absolutely.
drive to want to do the job. That's my favorite. And yeah, they're going to get more attention because they're soaking up everything I give them. And the ones that are sitting in the back not doing anything but standing there, they can look at it as as that person is my favorite if they want.
Right.
The
Right.
person's not the favorite. The mindset is, and the people in the back had the same mindset as the people up front. They get the same amount of attention out of me they're getting. They get the fired up guy that's going this steady push and high energy and stuff.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
probably the best. That's probably the best perspective I've actually ever heard. I mean, on that, you are right. A lot of people do think, oh wow, he only likes these people, but it's like, well, no, like that's because those are the people that are out there. They're here for the job. They're here to be into it. They want to be here for the job. They're not here just to collect a paycheck. They're not here just to, oh, I was bored and I figured I would just do this, for this certain time. They're
absolutely.
there because they want to be there.
Those are the same guys that are taking instructor classes right now. And I'm not, it's not talking about you. I'm talking about a bunch of them in general. Those
Absolutely.
hard chargers are the ones that are taking those classes well before it's ever time to get ready to promote because they want to keep doing better. They want to keep learning more. It's infectious. And loving this job is like a cancer. It will spread whenever you've got people that are wide open with it, loving the job. Other people will follow. You are a product of your environment, and the more people that are around that environment will get that winning mindset where they want to be a hard charger too.
Yeah.
And the people that don't want to will get that much further in the back.
Yeah. I also think that being like surrounding yourself and being involved with tremendous instructors also gives you the drive to say, hey, you know what? I like that guy. I want to be like him one day. I want to be able to give back what he gave me and be able to teach other students that come in below me. Definitely being around great instructors and hearing what they have to say definitely gives me the drive to be better than I want to be. It gives me the drive to take more classes. Say, hey, eventually, yeah, I do want to be an instructor because this person was so well as an instructor, and I just strive to be like the way that person is. You know.
Absolutely, you're building your legacy from the beginning. You're not waiting till the end to try to make a difference in people. You start from the beginning.
Right.
That's a really good mindset to have. I like that a lot. So we're getting pretty close to wrap up time. Um, I try to keep it not too awful long, but that way so people doing their commute can kind of listen to it one time without having to pause it.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna get ready to wrap it up. I got a feeling in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, we might do a part two with Lewis after he gets through his instructor thing. We'll do a podcast of how Lewis is growing. Um, but I'm gonna give you the floor. Tell everybody that is maybe on the job a little more than you, longer than you, same time as you, due to the people that tested for the job today. Um, Tell them what kind of mindset they need to be in, what they need to be hungry for. Floor is yours.
Um, like I've already said, be there because you want to be there. Be there because you want to learn and grow to be the best firefighter and EMT that you wish to be. Like come into the firehouse. I know that there are some departments that are written out that you can't say, hey, Proby, do this, hey, Proby, do that. We understand that. We live in a different time. I'm not saying that I'm older and wiser, but we do live in a different time nowadays. But just understand that there were cultures in the fire service before you, and that there are people who have paved the way so that you can get to where you are today, and to show respect to that. So, like coming into that firehouse and even down to the small things, showing pride in your workmanship, whether it's your tools, your fire truck, heck, even the ambulance, the stretcher. As much as a lot of people may not like the ambulance, me being one of them, still take pride in. I had a very bad day the other day at work, and I'll be honest, I was just one of those down days. You know, we're all entitled to having a down day. I still detailed the inside and outside of that ambulance. You know, but having pride in your job is definitely going to get you going much farther in the fire service. I mean, even down to walking past a full trash can, take it out. You see dishes in the sink still from breakfast, clean them up. You know, like as a newer person, probie, recruit, however you're able to label yourself, or like that also goes to show on your crew as well that you can be trusted with stuff. Because if an officer tasks me with, hey, I need you to go out to the truck and make sure that it's full on def. Well, if I go out there and it needs def and I put it in it and I put def in the fire truck and now there's def all over the side of the fire truck and the floor and I didn't clean it up, well, now it's like, okay, well, he did the task, but like a little more attention to detail, right? Or even such a minuscule task that you can't complete. Well, if I can't trust him to do something small, how can I trust him on the fire ground with a much more life-saving task to do? So yes, it even comes down to the small things in the firehouse that will not only grow your trust with your crew, but will definitely give you that drive to keep going, to just keep learning in the fire service. Go there, be that new guy, you know, keep your ears open and sometimes your mouth closed. That'll get you farther too. It is the best thing that was ever told to me. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Yeah, absolutely. Ask questions, ask away, because that could be information that you may need one day to save the person next to you or a civilian. Don't withhold information, but sometimes it's best just to listen to your senior guys, listen to your officer, hear what they have to say, no matter what kind of background you come from. Especially like my scenario. Listen to the people who are above you. They're going to have great tips and tricks for you, and it's going to get you farther in the fire service. But the biggest thing I got to say, because I can ramble on for hours about this, is pride and ownership. It all boils down to that, just the small stuff.
Okay. I'm going to follow up with one question of what you just said.
Okay?
You talking about, you preaching Rick Lasky right now. Pride and ownership. What are your thoughts on doing a flip?
Um,
How can you have pride without ownership first? I can't be proud of a car I didn't buy.
that is absolutely very true. Um, Absolutely 100% true. And I know, like, I mean, up till just now, I've never thought about it that way too, you know? But definitely own up to your mistakes, because that's the best way you're going to learn. Own up to your actions. You know, I
Well,
just,
what
I
made
never
me
heard
think
that.
about it is, a couple months back, I was talking to a guy, and I said that one comment to him, and I said, I've drove a lot of beaters my whole life, and I was proud of them because I wasn't having to walk. I mean, I weren't riding around in a Corvette, but I wasn't
Yeah,
walking either. But and I said, how can you have pride if you don't have ownership first? So own your firehouse, own your company, own your department. I'm a firm believer in that's not Horry County Fire Rescue's patch. That's my patch.
absolutely.
That's my patch on my coat. And I mean, I truly believe that. I mean, it belongs to the department that I have ownership in. And I think that's the mindset a lot of our people do. They need to have. And a lot of them do have. A lot of our people have a really, really great amount of ownership. And when you have ownership, pride comes so much easier because it belongs to you. Um, and, you know, somebody asked me when we were in that conversation, they said, well, nobody wants to own a sinking ship. And he wasn't talking about our department. He was just saying
Right.
this in a way because, a lot of people have a hard time with the buy-in and stuff like that when their department or their house or their crew isn't going like you want it to. And he was using the sinking ship as a reference. And I said, I told him, I said, I'm going to get a little hillbilly right here. I told him, I said, well, here's the thing. I've had a lot of boats too, and a lot of them leak water. So you just got to be able to turn the pump on and keep fishing. Because eventually you gonna get what you want out of it, but that's still my boat. Once we get it out the water, when we get through fishing, we'll fix the leak, and we'll make it better before than it was
Absolutely.
before. And it's all mindset.
Yeah.
And change doesn't start up top. Change starts at the bottom. Um, I'm a firm believer in that. Yeah, the top needs to steer us which way we need to go, but all the work happens at the bottom.
Most definitely.
But yeah, just when you said that, it made me think of that conversation from a couple of months back, and that's just something I just really, I love Chief Lasky's book. I mean, I've read it multiple times. I think it's a book that needs to be handed out at graduation night.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I
I
mean,
agree.
I really do. Um, or make it part of the classroom reading material while you're in recruit school.
Right.
Pride and Ownership is a fabulous book. Chief Lasky does some phenomenal keynote speaking on that topic and everything. But I like to I love his work so much, but I like to try to put a little spin on it. Let's let's get
Absolutely.
owner let's have ownership of it, and then the pride will be so much easier, and the pride will be so much stronger.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
Lewis, I appreciate you being on the show tonight.
Hey, Tank, I appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time to come and have a little chat with everybody. And
Absolutely.
um, if anybody wants to get a hold of Lewis, you can find him on Facebook. It's Lewis Oliver the Third. He's got all kinds of cool helmet cam footage from the fire we just had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um, or if you got any questions for me or want to get in contact with me, you can hit me up on email at thefirefighterschalkboard@gmail.com, or you can check all of our social media sites. We got a really good guest coming up next week after Lewis, so I hope to see you there. Stay tuned, and everybody stay safe. Keep learning.